Nick and Andy, huge game. Always is when these two teams meet. Manchester City against Liverpool at the Etihad this weekend. Delighted to say I'll be on site for PST, providing analysis, reaction, much more. And given the midweek results, Nick Mendola, obviously Liverpool dropping a couple of points at Villa, Man City getting humbled in Champions League and kicked out by Real Madrid. It just adds that extra layer, doesn't it, about what kind of reactions are we going to see? Are they going to be tired? Are we going to see a different type of game than we would usually see? Because this is an intense game. This rivalry has been building for years. And it's almost like City can play the spoilers a little bit and knock Liverpool's title bid. And it really seem like they might revel in that kind of environment to me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the atmosphere there on Sunday.
I don't think a club like Man City, I want to get this out of the way before I say my shocking thing. I don't think a club like Man City throws away a chance at a Champions League. Obviously, Haaland was injured. There was a reason for not using Kevin De Bruyne. But at the surface, you feel like they might have pushed Haaland at another day, and they might have pushed De Bruyne at another day. And I think they knew they weren't going to win the Champions League and were kind of looking to this match. And this rivalry means something to both of these teams. They know what it would mean to assert to Liverpool, by the way, you might go win the league this year, but you're still, quote unquote, not the best looking team. It's not going to be as impressive as any of our titles look. And I think you'll see a Man City team, to our point in talking about the Champions League, there have been crazy things going on off the field and so many ways, from Pep Guardiola to this entire situation looming over them that will probably loom pretty soon. It does seem to me like, pardon the expression, I hope I can say this, a bleep you game. It seems to me like Erling Haaland comes out there and he's angry like he is when he plays Gabriel. And I don't know. I'm not going to tell you that they're going to win, but I would be tuning in for this match.
It's going to be a fun one, right, Andy? I mean, I guess with City, when we think about them, we talked about it earlier this week about the rebuild that's needed, the new players that have come in, the aging stars, how this does feel like the end of an era for them. It almost feels like it's a bit of a relief for them to go out the Champions League in midweek. And now, all right, we picked up in the league recently. We can finish third, maybe even second. I don't know. But if they could win the FA Cup quite clearly as well. It doesn't feel like they're almost have no pressure right now. Is that weird to say as Manchester City? But everyone's almost kind of written them off, and De Bruyne's not around. Haaland's going out with an injury. You got so many defenders are going down. It's almost given them a bit of an out this season, and everybody just thinks they're going to lose these big games. But it's quite dangerous, I think, to do for City.
Yeah, I think it's dangerous for everyone. I think it's dangerous for City to, they could let their guard down and just kind of coast through the end of the season because it has been such a difficult one and just so out of character for them. But it's also dangerous for everyone else if you underestimate what they could still do on the day, because what we saw last weekend, and sorry, Nick, but what they did to Newcastle, they looked, it was jarring to watch them play Madrid first leg, Newcastle, Madrid second leg. And what was that team in the middle? Who was that group of players that really showed up and just dominated the game the way that they did? And so it is still in there on the day. I do think that, we talked a lot about the squad this week and the rebuild that's required. There's not a ton of depth at the moment, not a ton of quality experience, Premier League and Champions League level depth in the team. And so when you have to go past 11, 12, 13 players, there's a bit of a drop off for them at the moment, but they need the FA Cup this season, unless they're going to have their first trophyless season since Pep's debut season back in 2016-17. And no, we're not counting the Community Shield. I know they won that this season, but that would feel like a massive failure for City, even when you consider all the injuries and all the circumstances that we've talked about ad nauseum this year. For Manchester City with Pep Guardiola and Erling Haaland to not win a single trophy in a season would be kind of astonishing.
It would be astonishing. And Nick, it was pretty astonishing that Liverpool, are still as far ahead as they are, but they have shown a lot of cracks, I think, in recent weeks. Obviously, drawing their last two away games, 2-2 Everton and Aston Villa. And Arne Slot said he wasn't happy with that draw at Villa. They could have lost it late on. Villa had two very good chances. Obviously, Nunez had a very good chance to win it for Liverpool as well. Is it fair to say, like, cracks are showing, especially defensively for Liverpool?
Yeah, it is. It's strange to me, with all due respect. I'm going to randomly bring up Greg Berhalter. Do you remember when Tyler Adams, first in the team, he was going to play right back, and it was going to allow them to swing the formation, and he was going to come into the middle? I'm seeing this with both Liverpool and Man City. It's glaring with Man City, but it's Trent Alexander-Arnold and it's whoever Man City put it right back. There are flaws being exposed in this, and you can have an elite player out there and be attacked there. And there's something in this that just isn't working for either of these teams. I think it's also down to something we knew that was going to come for a long time, which is a top to bottom relentless Premier League. There are no longer teams in here, except maybe, it's Ipswich first year, right? But these are teams that have stockpiled money and depth and whatever. So on a week-to-week basis, you can't get away with less. But I don't know that this answers your question the way I want it to. It's not cracks so much as there is no monster in the league this year. There just isn't, because there are probably 8 mini monsters.
It's true. It's very true. And I think you're right in terms of the intensity. Slot talked about it again after the game and said the players can't stop working. The work rate, like in midfield in particular, it seems like in some games now, Liverpool just not as assured. And Andy Robertson spoke about it recently after that narrow victory against Wolves, right? It's just a bit of nerves creeping in, and said that's natural. And we've been here before with Liverpool. Up until recently when Klopp was in charge, they have been at this stage of the season on top, and then it's kind of just unraveled a little bit. So it's just history repeating itself a little bit, Andy. But they've been so good this season that it's hard to actually kind of predict there's going to be some almighty fall. But it seems to me like they're just going to draw quite a lot of games between now and the end of the season because they can't quite find that clinical edge unless Salah's around and he delivers most weeks.
Isn't that what Slot was supposed to fix? What he was to usher in a new kind of style and control and a little bit of not even just control of the game, but like self-control, I guess. And the way that Liverpool were so aggressive and they just wanted to throw caution to the wind. It's not that they're doing that, but they are kind of, it does feel like they've run themselves into the ground a bit. And again, they're another team that it's not a massive squad. It's a great, 15, 16, 17 players. But once you get beyond that, and we have seen so many injuries across the entire league and across Europe and across the world this year, the number of games that teams are playing. And so depth is getting tested a lot more. And so, we are going to see a little bit more of these drop-offs. But I still think just given where the teams are at kind of in their seasons, that Liverpool have a little bit of an advantage in this one.
Yeah, and I think the key battles, Nick, when we look at that, obviously if Haaland is out injured, Marmoush maybe would play centrally. Maybe he'll just play off the left anyway, and City will play kind of a false 9. I guess Marmoush against kind of Alexander-Arnold would, if he does play on the left, if Haaland is fit, that would be a key battle, right? And I think we've seen Trent get targeted, and someone like Marmoush, given the form he's been in, especially in the Premier League, that would be the battle, wouldn't it?
It would, except those of you who are listening to more than one of these segments knows where I'm living, and it's Mo Salah versus Man City's defense. I'm literally probably going to end up writing about this at our site because I don't feel bad, but back when he was a Ballon d'Or candidate, I was like, what are we doing? It's Messi. He's unbelievable. He is putting up the best non-penalty expected goals plus expected goals of his entire career. Think about that. Right now at the end of his contract, he is single-handedly saying, give me more money. He's the passing. How many times have we seen him this year? Joe, you remarked upon it once a couple of weeks ago. He did it once, and he's done it 3 times since, where he'll cut into the box on the right side, and he'll open up with some part of his foot, and he'll hit a ball into a sea of 3 or 4 people with pinpoint accuracy to set up a chance. And that's the difference to me. We're used to see him cut in on the right and dribble past 4 people and score, but there's this virtuoso bit about him. And I guess this is where you have to say darned if you do, darned if you don't about Arne Slot, because is he not doing a little bit the freedom that Pep gave Kevin De Bruyne for all these years? It's a different position, but it's almost like, hey, you're awesome. You go do what you want. These other 10 guys are going to figure it out. So yes, you're absolutely right about Trent on that side. But to me, there might be no more complete attacker in the world right now than in his 30s Mo Salah, and it's him versus Man City's beleaguered back line.
Yeah, and I guess they're going to need the likes of Kovacic and Nico Gonzalez to kind of step up and have some kind of shield for that defense to stop the ball getting to Salah or Diaz or Jota or whoever's playing up there alongside him. Because Guardiola, he's the one-man City defender I would trust to try and tackle Salah and limit him. And that's the kind of guy you want on that side. So, but you're right, we're going to see Salah a lot drifting inside, I think, in this game, and then trying to pick off City that way. Andy, score prediction time, mate.
Narrow to Liverpool. I'll go 2-1. I think it depends hugely on Haaland, and that's not to say he's good. If he plays, it makes Man City better. But I think if he's not available, I think it renders Marmoush not quite useless, but much less effective because of the playing off of Haaland looked so good in that game against Newcastle that I think he might get lost in the shuffle if it's kind of just him and Phil Foden trying to combine.
Yeah, and the update on Haaland is that it's a knee injury, but Pep doesn't think it's that serious. But they're just they're not going to risk him, of course, but maybe they get half hour or something out of him this weekend. Nick, what are you going for prediction wise, mate?
I don't know, Joe. I mean, this is the first time that I feel like City's crowd could turn a little bit on them if it doesn't go their way. A little bit, not a lot. I think they've shown a bit of a cultured, hey, yeah, we know how good we've had it. But because of that reason, let this be the last time I'm fooled. I'm going to go 3-2 to Man City. There's too much talent for them for not to show up in a game like this. It feels like what Barca's done against Real Madrid the last few times they've played. Maybe we're not at our best, but this is the game we're all going to be there.
Yeah, I was going to go for a Man City win. I'm going to go for a draw, I think, and just split the difference. I just think this has been a really tough, grueling few weeks for both of these teams, and I think the intensity might be not as high as it usually is for this game. Of course, they'll be up for it. And that will impact the game, and the atmosphere at these games is really, really electric over the years. But I think that this will suit Man City a little bit better. The fact that the tempo will be a bit slower, they won't be ripped to shreds like they were against Arsenal. And I don't think Liverpool will really have a spell where they are slicing through City and catching them out on the counter, just because I don't think City will play that high up the pitch as they usually do. So I could easily see City nicking it, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game this weekend. So it's going to be a fun one. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com. Man City against Liverpool. I'll be on site for that. And I'm delighted that Nick and Andy, you joined me today, and everybody else has. Thank you for watching. Enjoy this game, and we'll speak to you all very soon. Cheers, guys.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Lowe, and as we head towards the end of an exciting Premier League season, make sure you like and subscribe on the NBC Sports YouTube channel for more content like this.